In a small corner of East Africa, nestled between some of the most volatile regions on Earth, lies a country no larger than the state of New Jersey. It has no oil, almost no farmable land, and very few natural resources to speak of. Yet it is currently the most crowded military real estate on the planet. This is Djibouti, a nation that has turned its own geography into a multi-billion-dollar business model. To understand why the world's superpowers are obsessed with this tiny patch of sand, we have to look at a map. Djibouti sits directly on the Bab el-Mandeb, a name that translates to the Gate of Tears. For centuries, it was a navigator's nightmare, full of reefs and unpredictable winds. But today, it is one of the most vital maritime choke points in existence. Through this narrow strait flows 30% of all global container traffic and millions of barrels of oil every single day. If this gate closes, the global economy doesn't just slow down, it breaks. For the great powers, Djibouti is the ultimate insurance policy. It serves as the primary gateway to the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. Because of this, it has become a bizarre geopolitical experiment. It is the only place on Earth where you will find a massive U.S. military base, Camp Lemonnier, sitting just miles away from China's first ever overseas military installation. But they aren't alone. Japan, France, Italy, and Spain all maintain a presence here. For these nations, Djibouti is a stable platform in a sea of chaos. To its north is Yemen, currently embroiled in a devastating proxy war where Houthi rebels frequently target commercial shipping. To its west is Ethiopia, a landlocked giant that depends on Djibouti for 95% of its trade. To its south is Somalia, a region that has struggled with decades of piracy and instability. Djibouti is the beacon of stability in a neighborhood that is anything but. But how did a country with only 20,000 camels and a few salt mines at independence become a superpower hub? The answer is a masterclass in playing both sides. Djibouti's leadership knows that their land is their only leverage. They don't just host these militaries, they charge them hundreds of millions of dollars in rent. This income makes up a staggering portion of the national budget. When the United States wanted to expand its operations for the war on terror, Djibouti said yes. When China arrived with billions in infrastructure loans under the Belt and Road Initiative, Djibouti said yes again. They have effectively turned their sovereignty into a service. However, this strategy comes with a massive catch. By inviting everyone to the party, Djibouti has become a mirror for global tensions. When China built a massive pier capable of docking aircraft carriers right next to the Americans, the tension became palpable. There have been reports of lasers being pointed at pilots and constant accusations of espionage. But for the government in Djibouti, this friction is a feature, not a bug. They use the presence of one power to extract more concessions from another. For example, when Russia expressed interest in building a base, the US reportedly increased its lease payments just to keep them out. It's a delicate balancing act, but it's one that keeps the lights on. Yet, beneath the surface of this strategic success story lies a darker reality for the people of Djibouti. The foreign soldiers live in a mini-America or mini-China, often flying in their own food and water, barely interacting with the local economy. Furthermore, the presence of these bases provides a layer of protection for an undemocratic regime that has held power for 25 years. The international community often turns a blind eye to human rights concerns because they cannot afford to lose their spot on the choke point. As we move into a new era of great power competition, the stakes for Djibouti are rising. We are seeing a shift away from a world where everyone follows the same maritime rules toward a world where every nation is racing to secure its own interests. In this new reality, Djibouti's neutrality will be tested like never before. If a hot conflict ever breaks out between the East and the West, this tiny nation will find itself at the very center of the storm. For now, Djibouti remains the world's most important parking lot, a place where rivals are forced to live as neighbors, all because of a narrow strip of water that the world simply cannot live without. This is the reality of modern geopolitics. Geography is destiny, and for Djibouti, that destiny is to be the world's most strategic and most crowded gatekeeper.